Let me ask you about the budget, Hogan, because House Republicans are set to vote today on another short-term spending bill to keep the government open through March 23rd, keep defense spending on track for a year. The bill won't address the debt ceiling, of course. It's coming as the Democrats are set to head out for their annual retreat later this week. The budget deadline is Thursday. What's going to happen?
Well, hopefully we can get a budget passed, as the president has been clear many times that we want a 2-year budget in place with spending caps because we have to fund the military. We have to rebuild it. It was dismantled over the course of the last 8 years. The president wants that back in place because the American people deserve protection. We have to protect our allies around the world. And this budget right now, the CR, is no way to govern long term. And the president knows that. And he's been out talking about that publicly multiple times. But we have to get something in place. And as we move closer and closer to that deadline, hopefully the Democrats won't hold the budget hostage or the American people hostage for the hundreds of thousands of people here who are here illegally and unlawfully.
Well, why can't the Congress understand that the American people want the both sides to work together? I mean, this is just outrageous that you can't get things done without any help on the other side. We're waiting on an immigration bill. Who knows if they'll come to the table there after the president put something out, which was obviously 3 times what they wanted. And then there's this whole memo story. The White House has confirmed it received the Democrats' response to the controversial document, which shows abuses at the top of the FBI. Your office has just released a statement saying this. The White House has received a memorandum from the minority members of the House Select Permanence Committee on Intelligence. As stated many times, the administration will follow the same process and procedure with the memorandum from the minority as it did last week when it received the memo from the majority. So, Hogan, it didn't take that long with the GOP memo. Are we going to see a swift decision? And what is in this second memo?
Well, look, I haven't seen the second memo, but I will say it took 5 days for the Republican memo, and the president did what was prudent. He brought in the White House counsel. He brought in members of his national security team because it's tantamount to the decision he makes at the end of this, whether to declassify or not, of what it does to the American people if it puts national security at risk. This president would never ever put American lives at risk for politics, regardless of what other people may or may not do. He did that. He went through the proper channels and process and procedure with the first memo. He's going to do the exact same thing with this memo. As it relates to immigration, if I may go back for a minute, I did see that Senators McCain and Coons put out a bill recently, and I'm just going to say it takes a special kind of piece of legislation to be worse for the American people than the Durbin-Graham bill was. But congratulations to those 2 senators, McCain and Coons, because they have constructed something that's much, much worse. It does not protect the American people whatsoever. It gives amnesty to scores of people who are here illegally, and it doesn't do anything that the Border Patrol agents say they need as far as deportation mechanisms, enforcement mechanisms. It doesn't build a wall at all. And the secret here is, Maria, walls work, whether it's the one in San Diego that cut illegal crossings by 95%, or the one in Jerusalem that went around the city that cut illegal crossings by 99%. They work, and Democrats can't have it both ways. They can't on one hand say the wall doesn't work, what do we want it for, and then complain that it's going to be built. Yeah. They know it works because it solves the problem. In
fact, the president is tweeting about this right now, and here's what he just said a moment ago. So disgraceful that a person illegally in our country killed at Colts linebacker Edwin Jackson. This is just one of the many such preventable tragedies. We must get the Dems to get tough on the border and with illegal immigration fast. He goes on to say, my prayers and best wishes are with the family of Edwin Jackson, a wonderful young man whose life was so senselessly taken at Colts. So, Hogan, the president is tweeting about this, and yet it seems that the Democrats really do not want to execute anything more from this White House. I mean, let's face it, they do not like him, and they do not want him to have success. So what are you going to do?
Right. It's hard to deal with people when their hatred their personal hatred for President Trump outweighs their desire to see America successful. It kind of blows my mind. But look, back to this immigration point. You remember the fight over the CR when the Democrats shut down the government, hurting 8.9 million American children, defunding Border Patrol agents, stopping the funding to military families. They did all that to protect hundreds of thousands of people who are here unlawfully and illegally, as opposed to protecting the hundreds of millions of American citizens. That line was drawn in the sand. As we approach this new deadline and this new shutdown, you'll remember the Schumer shutdown. Democrats said they wanted everything in the CR. They refused to vote for it. The same thing applies here. The president has put forth policies that are really about a 70% in popularity, 80% in popularity in some cases.
Yeah.
Democrats say they want everything in the bill. So I don't understand why in the world they would reject this framework when it gives them what they want.
Right.
Unless they just don't want border security, and that's what blows my mind.
Which is why I think the president has put them in a box a bit here, because he's given them what they want, and if they say no, then that means I guess they don't want it. Hogan, real quick, in terms of this memo, let me end there. Are we going to see indictments? Are we going to see any accountability here? I mean, it's pretty clear at this point that the FBI misled the FISA judge and got a warrant to spy on American citizens so that they could listen in to their competitor, Donald Trump, in running the election. So are we going to see indictments? Anybody going to go to jail or have accountability here? And also, how far high up does this go? What about Barack Obama? Was he setting the rules?
Well, look, it's very obvious that Congress is the investigative arm here, and they seem to be doing their job as far as looking into this. But I think all Americans are concerned when the highest levels of the FBI and the DOJ can use the most intrusive, invasive surveillance methods against American citizens based on the fact that a Democrat bought and paid for document that was a campaign document was used to grant the FISA warrants. That should be concerning to all Americans. But I think, Maria, that we're seeing the beginning of this, quite frankly, and not the end. I think the investigation continues. You've heard Congressman Nunes say that. You've heard Congressman Schiff say that. So I think this is going to continue. It's the start, not the end.
So you think then that there will be accountability?
I hope so, and I think the American people deserve that. They want to know that their law enforcement arms in the federal government are not politically biased, but that they follow the laws and they treat American citizens as they should under the Constitution.
Well, did the State Department follow the law? Devin Nunes says now he's got an active investigation into the State Department. That's Hillary Clinton's State Department.
Right. Again, that's something that Congress is going to have to address. But I think it's clear the investigation into Hillary Clinton, there are some serious inconsistencies. When you're giving an exoneration letter before you even testify, that's a serious problem. And I think all Americans are concerned by that.
All right. Hogan, thanks very much. We will see you soon.
Thanks, Maria.
Hogan Gidley joining us at the White House.